In this presentation, we are going to take the data we have been gathering from assessments and we are going to act on that information to develop a continuous improvement plan. We are going to be using a format called Plan, Do, Study, Act, or PDSA. There are many formats for continuous improvement. I just find this one an extremely positive means that helps us get at many components of continuous improvement that often other plans do not address. The Plan, Do, Study, Act model offers a quality tool that helps us not only plan but monitor continuous improvement. It also provides us an opportunity to look at the root cause analysis of issues to get underneath why certain things are happening. It also helps us to try to focus on key and critical issues. We have a tendency to want to fix everything all at once, but that's impossible and overwhelming and taxes our capacity. The PDSA gets at that capacity issue and helps us to determine what is truly practical for us to do in a set amount of time. In my experience, many schools spend a long time creating brilliant plans, but a brilliant plan is just that. It is far better to spend less time to create a thoughtful plan and spend more time brilliantly executing that plan, because that's what results in improvement. All of the templates that you are going to be used are included in your documents for this week. This is the first component of the PDSA plan, or the plan section. We are going to go through this step by step, and as we do, I would suggest you have your empty template with you, and as we go through each part, you fill out your part using the data from week 6 to help develop a strategic plan for improvement in your own classroom or in your building. When you're doing school improvement plan, it is wise to have both a short-term and a long-term SMART goal. A SMART goal is a specific goal that is measurable, that is attainable, it is results-based or data-driven, and it is time-bound. Having all of these components together helps keep you focused on where you need to go and in what time frame. Your plan also will include the analysis of your data, and it will also help you go through the root cause of the issue that you are trying to address. A little bit more information. Why a long and a short-term goal? First off, true embedded change takes time. Your current situation probably did not occur overnight, so you need to provide yourself a short-term target, but a long-term target. Continuous improvement is not an event, it's really a way of life, and it should not be the strategy of the day, but a thoughtful process that you participate in. SMART goals are used to be certain that we have guiding statements that are focused, attainable, and can be measured. Go ahead now and write a long-term and a short-term goal and put it into your template based on the data that you gathered and analyzed for week 6. The next step of your plan is to determine what's been accomplished so far. No goal is ever totally new. For example, if you were focusing on reading or mathematics, You've been working on various components of those in your school probably for a very long time. Also, reflect on what you've done in the past. Did you learn new strategies? Did you introduce new interventions, programs, different types of learning? Create a short bullet point list that describes what you have already done either in your classroom, in your school, related to your SMART goals. The next step in the plan is to analyze the causes. This is what's not sufficient about the situation. You've got a problem. You want to, say, for example, increase reading comprehension. You've already listed a variety of things that you've done so far, but now is the time to get underneath the issue. Why is there an issue with reading comprehension? There are a variety of ways to do a root cause analysis, but basically what you're trying to determine is what is keeping you from improving. There are many, many ways to do a root cause analysis. Some of the qualities include the list here on this slide. The 5 whys is a very simple method that you ask the question, why do you have the problem with reading comprehension? Once you have answered that, you ask why. To that answer, you ask why again, and you keep asking why until you get the root cause. You can do a root cause-effect diagram. Because of this is what happens. SWOT analysis is another simple one where you evaluate your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities for improvement, and your threats. This is another simple one that you can easily do. At this point, use something simple. Do the 5 whys. Do a cause and effect. List down all of the reasons that keep you from improving. Think about all of the things that you can impact. Part of the issue is that we have got to accept those things that we can do nothing about. We can't change poverty. We can't change a child's ethnicity. But we can change attitudes, time, programming, methods to get at the root cause of an issue. Root cause analysis also keeps us very honest and transparent about an issue. What's important is that we have to be willing to talk about the elephant on the table. What is that thing that everybody knows is there but nobody wants to talk about? If that is something that is keeping us from improving, then we need to discuss it and be honest about it. The other factor is don't upset the gorilla. There's always been someone in every workplace that there is that if you bring something up, they will get emotional, they will get angry, they will get upset. Root cause analysis requires us to take on and have those crucial conversations with people so that we can get beyond those issues to get at the issues that are keeping our students from learning. For your project, if you want to try one of the other quality tools, that's fine. But the simplest form of root cause analysis that we're going to use today is just brainstorming. In your PDSA template, list all of the roadblocks to the change, the gaps, the issues that come to mind related to your goal area. Then reflect on those that you have no control over, and those you can do something about to change them. Mark those that you can impact, and those need to be included in your action plan. Now we need to look to the data to see what the data tells us. Your data can either be physically inserted into the PDSA template or you can attach it. Use the data that you developed in week 6 class. Think of the data as the facts about the situation. What do those facts tell you? Once you have completed that planning, now you need to develop your action plan or the do component of the Plan, Do, Study, Act. This is a picture of the parts of the template that we are now going to be filling in. Part of good planning is having measures for plan effectiveness. So what would you use to measure and determine the final impact of your work on student achievement? It could be a summative measure such as MAP growth targets, the WKCT, ACT scores, final exams, AP data. If you're doing something that is not academic and more climate or culture, it could be final annual surveys, changes in attitude or satisfaction. What will you use throughout the process to measure the impact on student achievement? What are those formative measures? This could be your MAP scores, your RTI scores, and your RIT scores in fall, winter, and spring. The next step is for us to create our action plan and determine what are the key causes that you will act on. Remember, you can't do everything. So what are the key things that you can work on? You now develop an action plan, step-by-step action plan. You can implement strategies and interventions. You need to include professional development. Include periodic review and an analysis of the data. For each step in the action plan, you need to begin with a verb. Here we go again with the verbs. You need action verbs that are very concise. This is a very practical process. This is not pie in the sky. You need to be very concrete and granular in your action steps. You also need to include a measure for completion of each step and those that determine if the action was done with fidelity or quality. So for example, if you were going to hold a meeting, your agenda and attendance can show that you completed it. To determine if it was done with quality, you can collect exit slips with feedback from the participants. Each step also needs to have a realistic timeline for completion and when the data will be completed. This could be a week from now, it could be a month from now, it could be at the end of the year. All of your steps should not end at the end of the year. You need to have things that you will complete and accomplish at early in the year and throughout the process. If there are things that you are going to do multiple times, you would have multiple dates in which you would collect data. You also need to identify the person responsible for each action step. This should be a single individual. Doesn't need to be the principal, doesn't need to be you all the time, but it needs to be one key person that will be responsible to make certain the action was completed and the data collected. You also need to determine if you have a need for resources or budget, and you can list professional development by the action step, or professional development can be an action step of its own. These are the foundations of truly good action plan steps. After a designated period of time, whether that's a couple of weeks or a month or a quarter or a semester, you need to set a time and a date to review data and analyze your work so far in your action plan. At this point, then you can make adjustments to your plan as a result of actions or, in some cases, inaction. And also the data that you have collected should impact your action plans. It's realistic to assume that an action plan created at the beginning of the year will be tweaked and changed as time goes on. None of us are so good that we can determine our actions for an entire year. It is good to have periodic check-ins so that we can adjust and keep on track and continue learning from the data that we collect. Then before you are done, after you have created your updated action plan, to select a date in the future to do another review. A critical component of the study phase is to celebrate. Celebrate actions completed, celebrate data collected, celebrate to keep the energy high and to keep people focused on the work at hand. After you have done your study component, then you, at the end of the quarter or the year, you need to make some decisions as you continue to revise your action plans. Do you maintain data collection to monitor progress? Do you continue programs and interventions or strategies, or do you tweak them or let them go? Sometimes you just need to go back to the drawing board since the change caused more problems than it solved. Sometimes it's time to maintain the goal and just refine the action plan. Sometimes you're able to meet your goal and develop a new goal at this point in time. As I mentioned earlier, there's nothing magic about the PDSA process, and there's not a simple single template in which to do your planning. The idea of a template is to help give you a structure to work within. The next slides give you some other variations on the theme that are still PDSA, Plan, Do, Study, Act, but maybe simpler in format or a different structure that is more functional for you. This is a simple PDSA. This can be used for adults or for students, and it is a much simpler version and can literally be done on 1 page or 2 pages. This helps on small projects. We use this in the district that I've worked in to when we have a new product, if we're trying something out, we use this as our guideline for evaluating programs, materials, etc. Here is another format for the PDSA where you define a problem, access the current situation, you do the root cause, write an improvement theory, try out the theory, study if it worked or not, and then improve or standardize or abandon the theory. This comes from the book, There Is Another Way, Launch a Baldrige-Based Quality Classroom. If you are interested in quality tools and continuous improvement, this is a little bit more expensive book, but it is an excellent resource for the PDSA aligned to Baldrige criteria for excellence. Here's a very simple process that you develop a plan, execute the plan, evaluate the results, and adjust and embed. The 3 questions of what are you trying to accomplish, what will we know that the change is, how will we know the change is an improvement, and what change can we make that will result in improvement. This is a very simplified plan, but it still goes through all of the process steps. This is another very simple process of the Plan, Do, Study, Act, and can be used for classroom goals. It can be used for an individual working on a personal plan. It has still all of the components, but again is a much simpler format. This 4-step plan includes all of the parts. It does not have a template in which you include all of the different components. Again, depending upon your style, this may be better and more suited to the way you do work and do planning. Here's a PDSA that the American Heart Association uses. Again, a single-page format. It's clear and concise and has all the component parts. This is one of my favorite quotes by the educational expert Lily Tomlin. I always wondered why somebody didn't do something about that. Then I realized I was somebody. I hope this presentation gets you thinking. I hope this will cause you to think about continuous improvement in a little bit different way. And I hope by working through your activity and creating an action plan that you will begin to learn how to formalize the plans that you can create to elicit improvement in your classroom or in your school building.